everybody. It's Mac from MacMovieguy.com, that website you didn't know existed, and I'm a movie critic. You have no idea who I am. So, subscribe. Anyway, I just got back from watching The Dark Tower. A movie about a tower that is kind of dark. Kind of wonder why it's called The Dark Tower. Is it because it's black? I don't know. I don't really answer that. So yeah, The Dark Tower. I feel like there's several conversations that could be had about The Dark Tower. I know that's weird. You're like, The Dark Tower? But it's not, it's not doing that well at the box office. Critics don't really like it. Fuck critics. First of all, because we have so many different perspectives about this film. Because of what it is and where it's coming from and all sorts of different things in our backgrounds. So let's talk about that for a second. So what I mean by different conversations is that you could have somebody whose perspective is, I read all the books, and I'm talking to an audience full of people who have read the books. I'm addressing that audience, and I'm letting them know what to expect if you are somebody who read the books. Then you have critics who didn't read the books. And even within that group, I would say you have people who didn't read the books but are still big fans of Stephen King, and so they have a certain expectation with this film. And then you have critics who, they like Stephen King, but they're not really obsessed with Stephen King, and they didn't read the books. So there's definitely different perspectives and different conversations to be had. So you just sort of have to know who you are as a moviegoer and try to find critics who have a similar perspective of you. Did you read the book? Did you not read the book? Do you like Stephen King? Do you not like Stephen King? There's different angles, so I don't feel like the Rotten Tomatoes score is necessarily the most fair rating. It's a very overgeneralized rating. I think this is a film that you could like, even if you didn't read the book. Or you'll hate it if you did read the book. So it's, like I said, this is going to be very much personal preference for a lot of critics, and you're just going to have to make up your own mind. So this is kind of just a bullshit review. But I will tell you that I did not read the books. I would call myself a casual fan of Stephen King. I don't think I've ever read a book by Stephen King, or at least more than one book, because I can't think of a book. But I would give myself, maybe when I was a teenager, I might have read one book by Stephen King. I just can't think of it right now, if I have, for sure. So I went into this film with the expectation of critics are not huge fans of this film, and it's supposedly kind of a mess. And I left the film with sort of a feeling that I hate myself for kind of liking the film, and I had to break it down for myself as to why I like the film. And a lot of why I like the film actually has to do with stuff that has nothing to do with the direction or acting in the film. It's simply, I did actually like the story. I think The Dark Tower works really well as sort of a Cliff Notes version of a world in which there's a lot more happening. Like if they were to make a Dark Tower TV series that really went into the story and the characters, that would be something I would really want to watch. It made me kind of even want to read the books. So as far as an introduction to the world and the ideas and what makes this different from other sort of sci-fi anthologies that you may have seen in the past, I liked all of that. I liked it as an introduction to something bigger. Unfortunately, it's not as a film series, because what they did was they told the story, supposedly, of all of the books in one film, which is insane. Could you imagine if they did that with Harry Potter? Like, Harry Potter fans would just be like, what just happened to our series? And I'm sure that's what Dark Tower fans are feeling, cramming all the material into one film, especially at a time where we end up taking like the last book in the series and making multiple films out of one book, or we have The Hobbit where we took one book and made 3 films. Seems kind of weird that we went the opposite way with Dark Tower. Like, it's like they thought that there might be enough fans to watch the film, but they didn't care enough about the fans to actually do it the right way. It's a bizarre choice, because the fans are what would have made the film a success, but you polarize them by cramming all of their books into one film. So it's just, I don't understand why we got what we got. But what I really liked the most about the film is the world that Stephen King created and the ideas and the concepts. Beneath that, I really thought that the kid in the film, Tom Taylor, I thought he did a really good job. Yeah, I've never seen him before. I don't know where he came from, but he has a lot to do in this film. He has a lot to anchor, and he has to work. He can't be obnoxious or cloying or anything like that. He has to be. You have to like him, and I liked him as a character. Also, I give this film props for casting one of my favorite child actors currently, Michael Barbieri. Barbieri. I don't actually know how to say his last name. But I thought he was terrific in Little Men, and I think he was used sparingly in Spider-Man Homecoming. And he's in this a little bit, but enough that we're keeping him going. We're keeping him out there for casting directors. He's continuing to get work. I really think that kid is like... I think he's one great performance away from an Oscar nomination, to be completely honest. I thought what he did in Little Men... He reminded me of sort of like if Al Pacino had been a child actor. I think he would have been Michael Barbieri. I really do. So the acting in this film, I know some people have had problems with Matthew McConaughey. I think maybe he's too likable as a villain, or maybe that's the point. If that's the point, then kudos. But I do think he might be a little too likable, too nice a villain. He never really gets into the evilness of his role. I thought the stuff that his character could do was great, and I would love to see that expanded upon in a larger Dark Tower universe. I thought Idris Elba did a really good job as the gunslinger. I love exploring him more and more as the lead of a film. I think he's tremendously talented, and even a film like this where his talent is somewhat wasted, I felt like he did a good job with it. The film itself it feels rushed. It feels rushed. I don't know what material is missing, but I can tell you that it felt very much like we were hitting the main points. Like we were going to here, to here, to here, to here, to here, and it was filling it in with a lot of exposition. And I'm not going to knock the film too much for exposition, because this is actually one of the rare occasions where you're allowed to have exposition, because it is a fish out of water story. What you have is you have Jake, who travels to another world, and of course, guess what? He's going to need some shit explained to him. And he's having these dreams, and he needs answers, so he also needs shit explained to him. So through that, the audience gets stuff explained to them through exposition. However, it feels natural because Jake also needed the explanation. And then later on, when they go to Earth, the gunslinger needs exposition. So all of the exposition in this movie works and doesn't feel offensive because the scenario is fish out of water. But there is a lot of exposition in this film. Like, someone seems to always be explaining something, but it always seems like that person who's being explained to needed to know that and would have had no way of knowing what was being explained because it's unique to their world, if that makes any sense. So, lots of exposition, but somewhat necessary exposition. But that also means we're missing a lot of material. It's a 90-minute movie. Like, it breezed by. I can't even... Honestly, I can't say this film had negative pacing issues. I never felt it slow down. I always kind of wanted it to slow down. If anything, it moved too fast. I was like, hold on. I can be in this movie theater for 20 more minutes. It's perfectly fine. Put more shit in this movie, please. Yeah, actually, I think this might be the first time we're actually hammer a film for being too short. It felt rushed. It felt like we were just like, let's get it out. Let's get it. We got to get to the end. So, yeah. Like I said, I didn't read the books, so I don't know what's missing. This is just my opinion based on what I said, based on what I saw. The visual effects are okay. They're nothing mind-blowing. I wouldn't say nominate this film at the end of the year. They're okay. There's nothing really here that needed to be amazing. Everything is good enough visually. If you asked me about the score, I would say I don't even remember it. I don't even notice it. So obviously it was uneventful and didn't do anything for me. It didn't like go, oh my God, the score's amazing. Or it wasn't obnoxiously bad. It just was very neutral. I didn't notice it, which is not a bad thing. You're not really supposed to notice the score sometimes, but sometimes you have like a really amazing score that comes through in a fight scene and you're just listening to it, like Star Wars, and you're just like, man, the score is incredible. So sometimes you do notice the score and you notice how great it is. War for the Planet of the Apes for me was the last time I really heard a score and was like, oh, this is incredible. Dark Tower, it's okay. If you haven't read the books, I would say it's an okay film. I'm sure the source material is amazing. It's got to be a lot better than this. This feels like a Cliff Notes version of that. Even though I haven't read the book, I can tell by the pacing and the way this film is structured that we are rushing through material and hitting major plot points. So, yeah, it felt rushed. I didn't really have a problem with the acting, except maybe Matthew McConaughey's too nice of a villain. Visuals, okay. It's okay if you haven't read the books. It's not the end of the world. Some critics are really hammering this film, and there's definitely worse films out there. However, if you've read the books, watch a different critic. I am not the critic for you right now because I didn't read the books. So I have absolutely no idea how you will feel if you read the books watching this film. I have been in a similar seat as you. I did read the Divergent books, and trying to sit through that franchise made me want to drive a nail through my head because it was so poorly adapted. So I know how that feels to watch something that is poorly adapted and feel like somebody has bastardized your series for the sake of making a little bit of money. So I feel bad giving this a decent grade because I feel like on the other side I shouldn't, but I have to go with who I am, where I'm coming from, and how I genuinely feel about this movie. So I'm going to give The Dark Tower a B-. Yeah. So that would have been a positive score. I would have given it a positive rating on Rotten Tomatoes. I liked it more than I didn't like it. Sorry. So that's my review of The Dark Tower. What did you think? Have you seen the film? Did you read the books? If you have any comments, don't forget to comment below and share them with me. I love comments. I also love subscribers. So if you would like to be one of those people, one of those kind of people who subscribes to things, then you should subscribe to me, because I'm just going to keep doing this regardless of how many people are viewing my videos or not. So until next time, I'm really hoping actually Hitman's Bodyguard and I think Logan Lucky both come out on Friday. Lucky Logan, I just totally... Lucky Logan comes out on Friday, and The Hitman's Bodyguard. And I hope to review both of those. So until next weekend, peace out.